Rock! Sasha yelled from the front of the small boat. From the tiller, Caleb squinted against the stinging rain as he tried to decipher the abstract shapes floating past them in the darkness. A sudden flash of lightning revealed a huge stone column jutting out of the rough sea directly ahead. Caleb pulled the tiller to avoid a collision, steering them towards what he hoped was the main channel. Alaska's inside passage was a labyrinth of islands, and he honestly had no idea where they were. A sudden jolt knocked them both off their feet. The motor screamed in protest as the propeller caught against a boulder beneath the waterline, and the boat lurched to a stop. Caleb reversed the throttle and was met with the deafening sound of metal tearing through fiberglass. The engine emitted a puff of black smoke and seized up, plunging them into an eerie silence. The boat bobbed awkwardly as the back remained hung up on the rocks. "Listen," Sasha told him. It took a moment for Caleb to realize what she was hearing. The distinct sound of waves crashing against rocks. It was coming from all around them. A large swell washed under them, lifting the boat as it passed. It wasn't enough to dislodge them, but the boat came down hard with a hollow crunch that surely cracked the fiberglass hull. Another flash of lightning revealed an approaching wave at least twice as large and cresting just off their bow. Caleb stuck his foot in the water and pushed off the rock. The boat broke free, but so did Caleb. As he slipped, the waves slammed into him, sending him tumbling across the back of the boat and over the railing. Any pain that Caleb felt paled in comparison to the sudden immersion in icy water. By Alaskan standards, 57 degrees was actually quite warm, but still enough to send an unaccustomed body into shock. Caleb's head rang as he came up, gasping for air. He had just enough mental faculty left to see that the wave had carried him 20 yards from the boat, which was now bobbing freely but half submerged. The rocky shore was at least 5 times further, but it was in the direction of the current. Caleb forced his trembling limbs in the direction of the shore, but as he got close, he could tell that the waves crashing against the rocks were much larger and more violent than he had thought. He felt himself dropping down and touched bottom, but the bigger the trough, the bigger the swell. He turned just in time to see the wave come down on top of him, slamming him underwater, and everything went black. Back in the boat, Sasha managed to regain her balance on the slippery deck, which was now half submerged as the boat sank. She tied off a line and threw it in Caleb's direction, but it wasn't nearly long enough, and Sasha could see that Caleb wasn't moving. Without hesitation, Sasha dove into the water. It was just as cold, but the adrenaline and the conscious decision to jump in helped soften the effects that Caleb had experienced. As the waves helped carry her towards him, she felt a sinking feeling in her gut as she saw that Caleb was indeed unconscious. She grabbed him by the life jacket and held on for dear life as a wave came down on top of them. Sasha tumbled over the seabed but somehow managed to keep hold of Caleb. When she came up, it was shallow enough to stand, and she realized that they were on a sandbar 50 yards from the rocky shoreline. There was no way to get there through the gauntlet of waves, and even if she could, the rocks offered no protection from the onslaught of the surf. She dragged Caleb to the closest sea stack, and with her last ounce of strength, hoisted him up to a ledge on the leeward side of the rock. Caleb's skin was cold, but she could feel a pulse and shallow breathing. Sasha pulled her jacket over them both and tried to find a comfortable spot on the sharp rocks. Exhaustion took hold, and she drifted into a restless sleep.